Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through a couple player props I like on Prizepicks for tonight's NBA slate on Friday, March the 31st. We have a massive slate tonight, guys, 13 games, so there's going to be plenty of props to choose from today. At the time I'm making this video, we don't have all the props posted in terms of like fantasy scores. Like we're still waiting on some fantasy scores to get added for all the teams, but a lot of the regular props like points props are posted. I mean, you can see all that's available. There is a ton on the board tonight. So plenty of props to choose from. Got two picks that I'm going to share in this video, guys. Taking a first look at the board, these are two props I found that I did really like for tonight. So before we talk through these two plays, as always, if you guys enjoy these Prizepicks videos and if they do help you out, make sure you hit that like button down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks, if you haven't signed up for Prizepicks yet, you can sign up and use my promo code Noah. If you look at the bottom of the screen, when you sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. So check them out if you have not yet. And before we do talk through our two plays for today, I want to recap our two plays from our last video. So I didn't make a video for Thursday's games. It was only two games on Thursday, and Thursday was also MLB opening day, so I did a little bit of MLB research. Didn't play a ton in NBA yesterday. I just played two picks in NBA. So I didn't want to make a video yesterday. Felt like that would be a good day to take off. So the last video we posted was on Wednesday. Our two picks for Wednesday. Unfortunately, only one of them hit. We gave out two picks, but we hit one but missed one. We did hit the over on Karl-Anthony Towns points. Took that line at 17.5 the night before, and that line actually got bumped up a ton. It bumped up all the way to 19.5. But Karl-Anthony Towns still went over his points prop, both the original line and his bumped up line. So even if you still played it, that pick it did hit for you. But unfortunately, the pick that we took that did not hit was Domantas Sabonis over PRA. Same matchup today for Sabonis against the Blazers. We'll see how he does today. But we took his over PRA in that game on Wednesday, and he lost minutes because of the blowout, and that was something that I definitely was a little bit concerned about. But his first half lines were heavily bumped up. Like his full game PRA I think was at 38.5, and the first half PRA was at like 21. Normally it's like half and half. So normally if the PRA for first half or the full game's like 38, normally the first half would be like 18 or 19 PRA. But they had already bumped that up, kind of assuming that the blowout risk. People were heavily on his first half props, and I guess I should have looked more into Sabonis' first half props, for that game. He had a really good first half, didn't do much in the second half though, and didn't play at all in the fourth quarter because of the blowout, which was super annoying. I really like that matchup for Sabonis. There was definitely blowout risk taking that prop, and the blowout came back to bite us. I'm not going to complain too much about blowout there because the spread was like 13.5. Against the Blazers, so it's not like the blowout was random. It was definitely on. It was in the range of outcomes. It came back to bite us, unfortunately. Did not cash that two-pick entry, but hopefully for today we can get back on track, cash our two picks for today. It is Flex Friday today, so your first flex play that you place today will be risk-free up to $20. As always, I'll be sharing my $20 risk-free flex play, my six-pick entry. I'll be sharing that over on Patreon later this afternoon. But let's talk through this two-pick power entry I like for this Friday night slate. We're going to start off in the fantasy score category. Got a fantasy score prop I'm liking for tonight, and then I have a points prop I'm liking for tonight. So for fantasy score, we're going to go back to a guy that we took recently, and he came through for us, and I like his prop once again for today. That's going to be Deni Avdija. Deni Avdija, 32.5 fantasy score. I like the over here for Deni Avdija. We've seen Deni Avdija take on a really, really big role lately. As you can see, he's gone over this fantasy score in 4 out of his last 5 games. In the game against Denver, when he did not go over, that game was a blowout. He did not play full minutes in that game. I believe he played like 32 minutes, if I remember correctly. He played 32 minutes in that game, whereas as of late in competitive games, we're seeing Deni Avdija play like 34, 35, 36 minutes. In that game against Boston, their most recent game, Avdija played 37 minutes in that one. So in competitive games, we're getting like 35, 36, 37 minutes for Deni Avdija. This should be a competitive game against the Magic. And without Bradley Beal, without Kyle Kuzma right now, Deni Avdija has kind of been like the number 2 option on offense for this team behind Kristaps Porzingis. Avdija is not known to be like a great scorer, but he's been scoring the ball pretty well. He had 25 points last game, and he's always been a really good rebounder. He had 10 rebounds last game. Over his last 4 games, he's had 10, 9, 11, and 8 rebounds. He's a guy that can facilitate as well. 5, 7, 6, and 6 assists over his last 4 games. So he's just one of these guys that can do everything when he's on the floor. He can score, rebound, he can get assists. He has a lot of ways to get fantasy points. He doesn't turn the ball over too much, and sometimes he'll get maybe a steal or a block. He's not a guy that's going to get a ton of stocks, but any stocks that he gets is just a bonus because you do get 3 points per block and steal. And one thing I want to mention is that last time we took Denny Avia's fantasy score, it was at 31.5. That was the last game against Boston. His PRA that day, I'm pretty sure, was 26.5, if I remember correctly. His PRA for today is 29, and his fantasy score only is a point higher than last time. So that's a little bit weird. Is that last game his PRA was 26.5 and his fantasy score was 31.5. Today his PRA is all the way up to 29, but his fantasy score only went up 1 point. So that's what makes me like fantasy score even more, especially just seeing like a 3.5 point difference between the fantasy score and the PRA. I mean, you look at his PRA, he's gone over that in 4 out of his last 5. Also gone over fantasy score. I have a feeling that if he goes over this PRA line, he'll probably go over fantasy score as well. I could see him going under PRA, but still going over fantasy score, especially if he does get like a couple steals maybe a block or two. Those are always unpredictable, but anytime you do get them, you can't complain, I guess. But again, you look at like Denny Avia's numbers this season without Beal, without Kuzma. He's been a very productive, permanent player. He's averaging over a fantasy point per minute. The minutes have been very strong. This matchup against the Magic should be pretty good. The Magic, in the month of March, they're playing at a top 5 pace. So this is a big-time pace-up spot for the Wizards. The Wizards have been a really slow-paced team this season. This should be a big-time pace-up spot for them against a team that's been playing really fast lately. So really like this spot for Denny Avia. Like the role that he's had. The minutes have been great. This should be a competitive game, so we shouldn't have to worry about a blowout or anything. And if he plays 35, 36, 37 minutes, I think he's got a good chance of going over 32.5 fantasy score. So that is the first play that I do like for today. And then the other play that I like, a points prop that we're going to talk about, is Jaden Ivey's points prop. It sits at 19.5 on Prizepicks, and this is another over that I like. If you actually look on DraftKings Sportsbook right now, there is some heavy juice coming in on the over for Jaden Ivey's points at 19.5. It's minus 155 on the over 19.5 points. So basically what that means is you have to bet $155 to win 100 if you were to bet that prop on DK Sportsbook. So you're having to bet more money just because the prop has a higher chance of hitting. That doesn't mean it's like guaranteed to hit or anything, but that's what that means when a prop has higher juice. That just means you're basically paying like a higher price for that prop. But again, on Prizepicks, obviously, you don't have to pay juice. It doesn't matter what prop you take. It doesn't matter if you take the over or the under. It all pays out the same. So anytime you can find a prop that has some good juice, some heavy juice on a sports book, and you can play that on Prizepicks, it's always going to be pretty beneficial for you. And you look at Jaden Ivey, the reason I think that there's so much juice coming in on the over for this prop is, for one, the matchup is great against Houston. Houston's been one of the worst defensive teams against guards this season. They've been one of the worst defensive teams in general. But you look at their defense, for the season, I'm pretty sure they've got like one of the worst defensive ratings. They're bottom 3 in defensive rating for the season. In the month of March, they've got the second worst defensive rating in the league. And then if you look at how they rank against the point guard position, against the shooting guard position, in terms of points allowed to point guards, they're giving up the most points per game to point guards. In terms of points allowed to shooting guards, they're giving up the 7th most points per game allowed to shooting guards. Jaden Ivey, he can play point, he can play the 2. Whenever Killian Hayes is not on the floor, they'll let Ivey play point guard, but he's gonna have plenty of opportunity in this matchup. It's one of the best possible matchups you could ask for. And you look at Jaden Ivey's role lately. You look at like the minutes he's been playing. You look at the usage he's had, the amount of shots he's been taking. It's great. I mean, last game against OKC, he fouled out, but he still played 31 minutes against Milwaukee. Pretty sure that game was a blowout. He played 32 minutes. Against the Raptors, he played 41 minutes. I'm not sure if that game went to overtime. He might have played 41 minutes in regulation. 30 minutes against Atlanta. That game, I think, might have been a blowout too. 38 minutes against Miami. 35 against Denver. He's played 30-plus minutes in 12 straight games, it looks like, just looking at his game log. So the minutes have been great. I don't think this is a spot where we should have to worry about blowout. Obviously, playing against the Rockets, I think the spread in this game is like 6.5. I don't think this game blows out. I think Detroit can keep this game close. Both these teams are really bad, so this is a game that I think can be competitive. And in competitive games where he's not in foul trouble, we're getting 35, 36 minutes from Jaden Ivey. You look at his usage lately, his shot attempts over his last 5-6 games. 18, 19, 13, 19 in terms of shot attempts. He did have one game against Miami where he only shot the ball 7 times, but that was a really, really tough matchup. Against Denver, 15 shot attempts. Against Charlotte, 17. Against Washington, 20. So over his last 7 games, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So over his last 8 games, he's had at least 13 shot attempts in 7 out of those 8 games. He's had at least 13 shot attempts technically in 9 out of his last 10 or 10 out of his last 11. So he's been shooting the ball a ton. His usage over his last 5 games has been really good. He's leading the team with a 28.4 54% usage rate over Detroit's last 5 games. And if you take a look at his numbers this season with all these guys out, so right now there's no Alec Burks, there's no Rodney McGruder, there's no Bojan Bogdanovic, there's no Hamidou Diallo, there's no Isaiah Stewart, there's no Cade Cunningham. You take a look at Jaden Ivey's numbers with all those guys off the floor this season, leads the team with a 31.3% usage rate, and per 36, he's averaging 24 points per 36 with all those guys off the floor. I think we get around 36 minutes from Ivey here. This matchup is about as good as it gets against Houston. This should be a relatively fast-paced game. Neither one of these teams play any defense, so really like the spot for Jaden Ivey. I also like to see that this prop has a lot of juice coming in on the over on DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, this prop is minus 155 right now on DK Sportsbook, so this line's probably going to get bumped at some point. Hopefully, you're able to get it in at 19.5, but that's what I'm liking for today, guys. A little 2-pick entry. Denny Avia, more than 32.5 fantasy score. Jaden Ivey, more than 19.5 points. These are two props I like, taking a first look at the board right now when I'm recording this video. But again, as always, I'm going to share some more props, at least like probably 3 or 4 more plays I'll have posted over on Patreon later today. I'll post my 6-pick risk-free flex play that I'll be playing. If you guys want to tail that, that'll be posted on Patreon as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And again, if you guys are new to Prizepicks, if you've never checked them out before, you can sign up for Prizepicks and use my promo code NOAH. When you sign up, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you sign up with my promo code. But best of luck tonight, guys. Thanks as always for watching the video. Hope you guys enjoy your Friday night and enjoy your weekend. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.